38% of houses in the middle price ranges in Virginia Beach have gone $15,000 or more over asking price. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the state of the market right now in Virginia Beach and the area in Hampton Roads, and some things that I have experienced and tips that I think you need to know about the market, the real estate market in Virginia Beach and the area, and strategies that will strongly influence the success of you getting the house that you want for as little money as possible. And we're starting right now. Hey, my name is Sam Santalone and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. That goes from Virginia Beach all the way up through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. So I've been looking at the market over the last few months, and there have been some changes that have happened recently. Interest rates have gone up. We've talked about this over the last few months. I said it is going to happen, and it is here. Rates that were in the 4% range just like 2 or 3 weeks ago now are even into the 4.5. I've seen quotes in the 5 and up range right now. That is changing the buying power for a lot of people. And so for an interest rate from 4 to 5%, you're talking several $100s per month more in your mortgage payment. There are so many buyers in relation to how many houses there are on the market. It hasn't changed the market that much yet. So I'm going to tell you some trends that I'm seeing based on these types of numbers to give you some indication of what to expect when you make the offer on your house and how to strategize to make the best offer. So number one, use the asking price as a starting point in most cases when you're making an offer on a house in Virginia Beach. So what does that mean? If a house is $400,000, there's a good chance most of the time it will go over $400,000. Not all the time, but most of the time. It could be anywhere from $405, $410, upwards of $450 or $60 in most cases. There's a wide range there. Case in point, in the last 2 months, the amount of houses that have been on the market, there have been 418 houses, detached single-family houses in most of Virginia Beach, except a couple of small places between $300,000 and $750,000. Of those 418, 158 of those went for $15,000 or more over asking price. That's almost 38% of the houses. It's a wide range of prices, but it does tell you a story here that over asking price by a decent amount is pretty common or relatively expected for most houses that are in demand. Well, it does mean that when you hear stories of people going way over asking price, it means that happens. However, it doesn't happen all the time. There will be times where a house will go for asking price. It'll go for 5 over, 10 over. And sometimes, in some cases, and I'd say about 10% of the time, it will still go for under asking price. But most of those times are going to be times when the house is sitting for 7 to 10 days or longer. So the question is, when do you know when to make a very aggressive offer if you like a house, or kind of be patient, or just not be as aggressive, maybe be a little bit more conservative? There's a trick to figuring out how much your interests and your tastes in your house match other people's tastes, which leads to how competitive you need to be for the house that you want. If you start saving more than a third of the houses that you think are interesting, that you think it might be worth looking at and going after and making an offer, there's a good chance, or a better chance, that you might not have to make an offer as high because you're seeing enough houses that you might like. So on the flip side, if you are saving 1 out of every 20 or 30 houses that you think are worth looking at in that price range, that might tell you something, that you might be looking at a house that most people are going to be wanting in that price range. If that's the case, there's a good chance that the house that you want might require you to be more aggressive. So you can use that as a trick to figure out how much your personal interests match people's interests in the market. That goes to number 2, which is please talk to a local lender. I've seen this so many times where someone has wanted to buy a house recently and come to me and said, hey, I've got pre-approved, I'm ready to go. And they might be totally fine, totally qualified. That's not the point. The point is that some lenders have a perception of being either slow or bad with qualifying, or a combination of both. And that factors so much into whether or not a person's offer gets accepted. Part of the offer includes telling them which lender we're planning to work with. And if the lender is one that the seller and the agent don't trust or don't feel comfortable with, it can significantly influence the chances of getting the house. So please, doesn't mean you have to work with that local lender, but it is important, I suggest strongly, to work with someone who is local, to give that almost like advertising, to say, hey, I'm qualified with someone that I think you'll trust, someone that can close quickly, please consider my offer. That goes to number 3, which is put yourself in the seller's shoes. This is an interesting time for sellers right now because a lot of these sellers are concerned about where to move after they sell their house. They know that I can sell my house. They've been told that so many times. That's not as big of a problem. The problem is often where to go next, where to find the next house, because they then become often buyers themselves. Well, a lot of times what's happened recently is there are more people that are asking for rent backs. meaning they sell their house, put their house on the market, you get their house, make the offer on the house, close early, and then they stay in the house for a longer period of time after that, whether it be to find the house that they're looking for school timing, whatever the reason. But this happens a lot, more frequently than other years. So make sure you factor in when you make an offer, what are the most convenient things you can offer a seller to make them feel not just that they're getting that offer number that they're looking for, but the process is going to be smooth. They're already stressed out. Everybody's stressed out. So what better thing to do than to help that seller feel even more comfortable with working with you if you design your offer based on things that they're looking for. And one thing can be getting that move out process, getting it as smooth as possible for them. Now the next one is watch interest rates. I mentioned interest rates are going up so fast. In the last few days, they've gone up almost 1% in a lot of cases. And so you're seeing house prices not just increase, but the cost to buy that house for the same price increase very quickly. So you've gotten pre-qualified maybe in February. You may have gotten pre-qualified in March. You may have gotten pre-qualified based on past interest rates and loan conditions. Make sure you get your qualifications current. Make sure you know what your payments are going to be for the house that you're looking for now, because 3-4 weeks ago, that payment was a lot different. So for example, if you're buying your house at $500,000 and your interest rate will be 4%, the amount of principal and interest you'll be paying is going to be around $2,400 or $2,387 and 8 cents according to this mortgage calculator. However, if you take that 4% interest rate and move it to 5% interest rate, 1% interest rate increase, that number goes from $2,387 to $2,684.11. That's almost $300 a month more with 1% interest rate increase for the exact same price house. That's substantial and definitely something that you need to factor into. Talk to the lender that you got qualified with or whoever you want to get qualified with to make sure you're on point and tracking with how much the house that you want to buy is actually going to cost now as opposed to a few weeks ago. Next is make sure you have your appraisal guarantee conversation with your agent. What does that mean? It means that a lot of times these offers that are going over asking price. During the loan process, and you may have seen this before if you bought a house before, is a lender goes and orders an appraisal on that house. They will not lend money for that house over what the appraisal comes back at, what that number is. So if that house appraises for $500 and you offer $550, that $50,000 additional number is really worthless to the seller. It doesn't mean anything because they know that you can't buy it for that amount unless you specify in the offer how much you're willing to give over that appraisal number if it does not appraise for the amount that you offered. So if you offer $550 for that $500 house and someone else offers $550 for that same house, if you guarantee that $50,000, the other person doesn't or only guarantees half of it, you are in the driver's seat with that house if you're competing with that other person. But how do you know if you're supposed to do an appraisal guarantee or how much you should do? Well, that's where it goes into knowing the market, talking to your real estate agent to figure out what the best strategy is, what the best strategy is for not just the city you're looking in, but also the style of house and the neighborhood and just even the spot in the neighborhood that might be most important to know as far as how to strategize for making the best offer. If you want to learn more about this area or about real estate in this area, you can click here. You can learn more information about the area here, and also if you want to relocate to this area, you have more questions about it, neighborhoods, real estate, any of that, please let me know. I've got my contact information in the description. You can reach out to me at any point and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to this area, and I'll see you on the next video.